Kirstie Alley talking about Doris Day is something I knew would fill my heart with so much love, but I had no idea how much her words would mean to me. And I had no idea just how perfect a sentimental journey would be. And that's largely because I bought this not really looking too much into it. I bought it because I worshipped the ground Doris Day walked on and I knew I wanted to see it, but I didn't realise she featured so heavily in it as herself. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So for me, it was just a million times more amazing and more emotional than I thought it would be. The whole thing is about an hour, and honestly, I cried pretty much all of the way through, but it's absolutely incredible. This was released in 1991. It's directed by Dick Carter and Steve Norman. It's written by James Arntz and Katherine MacMillin. And we have Doris Day as herself, sharing so many stories and experiences and emotions. And it's so beautifully packaged together. She is in it a lot. And we get clips from basically her entire filmography, beautiful selection of clips, gorgeous vocal performances. Her music is right throughout this. And it basically takes us through Doris Day's journey of how she started out. I will say it does get her year of birth incorrect, but it's not their fault. They say at the beginning that she was born in 1924. She was actually born in 1922, but for most of Doris's life, she actually thought, or I guess said, she was born in 1924 until somebody found her birth certificate a couple of years before she died, and we realised that actually it was 1922. The real reason for that is unknown. There's a theory that it's maybe because she had to lie about her age for a role, but that doesn't really seem to be the case with how things came about. So I don't know. We'll probably never know. But either way, it amused me, and the rest of it is just so gorgeous and so perfect. And it talks about how she got into singing. I won't go into too much detail about that, actually. I obviously worshipping Doris Day, I'm aware of how this came about, but I don't want to give away too much of the specifics of her life and how her career progressed in case you're not aware and you do want to watch this as somebody who is quite new to Doris Day. And the great thing about this is I think it will very much appeal to both sets of people. If you know not a lot about Doris Day and you want a background of her life before you dive in with her films, this is perfect. It's not overly long. As I said, it's about an hour, and it covers all of the basics. I think you will have a really strong idea of who she is and what her career was like, and then you can dive in with her films. And this might also give you some ideas of which films you might want to check out first. As I said, we do have a lot of clips. There's a lot going on here. It has a lot to offer. But if, like me, you're already a diehard Doris Day fan, I think you'll find the journey to be absolutely stunning and emotional. And of course, sentimental. It is so beautifully done. And in addition to Doris talking about her life, we have other people talking about either their experiences with Doris Day or the impact she's had on them. Her son, Terry Melcher, features briefly. Betty White is in it quite a bit. She says some lovely things about Doris. And I do actually have some quotes to share. I don't think I have any Betty White quotes, but there are a couple of quotes. But I'll share them at the end in case you don't want to know anything too specific without watching it. And as I said, Kirstie Alley features very briefly, actually, and towards the end. I was beginning to panic her scenes had been deleted, but they haven't. They are there, but they are towards the end. And it's so gorgeous hearing so many people singing Doris's praises. And then to hear Doris talking about things herself and her own experiences, it's gorgeous. And it takes us right up to the Doris Day show as well. We just touched on that very briefly. Personally, I would have liked a little bit more information about that, but what we get is absolutely fine. Honestly, this could have been a 10-part series and I would have loved every second of it. But what we get is, honestly, absolutely perfect. I can't fault it. It's edited together perfectly. Everything flows beautifully. The clip selection is fantastic. It is uplifting. It is gorgeous. I cannot imagine anybody would watch this and not immediately want to watch Doris Day, watch her performances, her films. We get quite a lot of early clips as well when she was performing with various bands, and I think that was really, really beautiful to see as well. And it's just, needless to say, I think it's perfect. And I cried pretty much all of the way through it. If you love Doris Day, you will love A Sentimental Journey. The DVD as well, before I share the quotes that I want to share, the DVD actually has some extras on it. Also, this is not region coded as far as I can tell. I bought it assuming it would be region 1, but it plays on my regular player absolutely fine. I'm in the UK. And we have some extra features. As I said, we have a 10-minute-ish segment of Doris talking about the Doris Day Animal Foundation, which just broke my heart in all of the best ways possible. We have clips of, Doris with animals, stills of Doris with animals, and then animals themselves. And I support the Doris Day Animal Foundation. I make a donation every single week. Not a sizable donation. I'm not made of money. But every week I do make a donation to the Doris Day Animal Foundation. And I will continue to do so. So that's definitely worth watching. There's an interview with her. There's an episode of the Doris Day Show. And a couple of other things as well. So I definitely recommend the actual DVD itself. And the main feature is perfection. And I will now share a couple of quotes with you, 2 from Doris and 1 from Kirstie Alley that kind of had me sobbing. It was a very emotional experience. Kirstie Alley, I'll come back to Kirstie Alley actually. So these are the last things I have to say about this. Other than that, Doris Day, A Sentimental Journey is one of the most perfect things I have ever seen. And whether you're new to Doris Day and you want to learn about her, or you're already a Doris Day fan, I absolutely recommend this. So, a couple of quotes. 2 from Doris, 1 from Kirstie Alley. And Doris says, out of these awful experiences comes something wonderful. And this is referring to 2 things that she touched upon. The first is when she broke her leg. And basically, if she hadn't broken her leg, she might not have become the movie sensation. I won't go into too much detail about that in case you're not fully aware of the significance there, but I thought that was wonderful to kind of have this great attitude about not just her broken leg, but also her marriage. And the reason it refers to her marriage is because she got married, it didn't work, but she had her son. She had Terry out of that experience. And it's a beautiful, positive mindset, and I absolutely loved it. And the other thing she said that really spoke to me was, Calamity Jane is probably my favourite movie because that's the real me. And she explains a little bit about what she means by that. But the reason this made me even more emotional is because that's my favourite Doris Day film. That's the film that made me fall in love with her. I can't remember if it was the first one that I'd seen or if it was the one where something just clicked and I realised, okay, I might be in love with this person. And I absolutely adore it. Calamity Jane is by far my favourite Doris Day film, and to then hear her saying it's her favourite just absolutely melted my heart. And then we come to Kirstie Alley, and this meant a lot to me. As I said, Kirstie Alley is only in this very, very briefly, but what she said was, for me, so powerful, because she said, you have these idols, and she was my first, and I wanted to be Doris Day. And that's significant to me, because Kirstie Alley was my first idol. She was the first, I guess, film star, first actor I fell in love with when I was about 5 years old. We're talking about 1997, roughly around the time the film It Takes Two was released. And I fell in love with her. She was my first ever idol. And to then hear Kirstie saying that her first idol is one of my favourite people to have ever existed is just mind-blowingly perfect to me. And it's kind of not necessarily full circle, but there's something really fantastic about that for me. And it broke me a little bit. It was towards the end, right towards the end. I think in the last 10 minutes or so. I was an emotional wreck by that point anyway. And then Kirstie said that and my mind was blown, and it meant a lot to me. It really meant a lot to me. And needless to say, I thought Doris Day, A Sentimental Journey was perfect. And I knew I'd enjoy it. But I didn't expect it to be as amazing as it was. I didn't expect it to touch me in ways that it did. And it is absolutely gorgeous. And I love it. I love her. There's nothing left to say except if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. Doris Day, A Sentimental Journey is absolutely perfect.